Hello, greetings, and welcome to this other edition of our 30 days marathon into discussing 30 important questions singles must ask while dating or courting. I'm glad to come your way again today with episode number 9. And in episode number 9, we are asking the 9th important question which singles must ask while dating or courting. And right away, since I have the intention to make videos short now, we are going straight to question number 9. Question number 9 is how successful is the marriage of your parents? You would want to ask the person you are dating or courting to know how successful is the marriage of their parents. Now, there is something I experienced so many years ago. That's more than 25, close to 30 years ago. And it was in our compound in Africa, in Cameroon. And there's this uncle, and we were sitting together in their house, and the daughter dished food or served him food. And it happened that that day, this man is a fisherman. He's a fisherman, and he did not have a good catch that day. And the fish that the wife cooked, the daughter served about half of that amount in the father's dish. And I remember the father asking the daughter why she had to do that, knowing that other members of the family had to eat from the same soup. And sorry, the mother. It was the mother who asked that question. I remember the mother asking the question to this young girl why she had to dish half of the soup into the father's dish, knowing that other members of the family had to feed or eat from the same pot of soup. And it's the father now who responded and told the mother she is doing what you used to do. So she is making sure that she has the same quantity of soup in my dish as you used to put it. And her interest is not how much remains, but how much is served in the father's dish. And this takes us to a serious point this morning. You know, we learn things unconsciously from our parents. We learn things unconsciously from the people with whom we grew up. And the very first marriage we would ever see might be that of our parent, and they set to kind of show us the first information we get from there shows us how marriage is supposed to be, even though it could be the marriage could be a failure, but that is what we learn as the first idea of marriage. And now the next story I want to relate to you is this. I visited a family some years ago in Douala, and I got to that house, and the mother of the house was not there. And she came back moments later, and she began quarreling the husband for not boiling beans. And of course, she had two grown-ups at home who were doing nothing. They were basically just playing and staying on their phones and, you know, relaxing. But the wife expected the husband to boil the beans and not the grown-up children. And again, this is serious because these children, one girl and one boy, were learning what it means or what family is like from their parents. And one thing that quickly came to my mind is, if this woman can talk to the husband this way in my presence as a visitor in that home, then what happens? What happens when there is no visitor in that home? And that takes us to the very first important point in our discussion as to why we have to ask the person we are dating or courting how successful the marriage of their parents is or was. And that is family dynamics. Family dynamics. Understanding the dynamics of your partner's family, including their parents' marriage, can provide insights into your partner's upbringing. It can provide insight into their values and also to the attitudes they have towards relationship. And the knowledge can help you better understand your partner's behavior and communication style. Sometimes we think that when we marry people, we marry just those people. No, we marry a whole family. We marry the mother, we marry the father, we may even marry the auntie, the uncle, if they grow with any of them. We may even marry their grandma if they were raised by their grandma. Because their first idea about family is gained from their experiences at home. And if that particular person you're dating or courting had great upbringing, great values, great attitudes to a relationship learned from their parent, then you might be looking up or looking forward to a blissful relationship. But if they had a wrong upbringing, if they had wrong values, if they had wrong attitudes, which they copied either consciously or unconsciously from their parents, then you will have to anticipate some issues in that relationship. And second thing, which is important, considering how successful the marriage of your partner or the person you are dating or courting is so you can be able to model behavior. Modeling behavior. Children often model their behavior and expectations in relationship based on their parents' marriage. This child who grows in that home, seeing the mother treating the father as a king, inadvertently copies that attitude. And oftentimes it is very unconscious. Some of these things will learn them very unconsciously. And their behaviors are modeled after what they have been seeing. If they have been seeing their parents quarreling or fighting, arguing, they unconsciously model their behavior, after those. And if your parents, partners, or your partner's parents have a successful marriage, it could indicate to a large extent that your partner has been exposed to healthy relationship dynamics and communication skills, which can positively influence their own approach to relationships. We model our behavior to what or after what we are exposed to, especially in that home where we grow. Children who are raised by single parents, there are issues you need to look out for. And that takes me to my third point, red flags. I don't want to demonize single parents, but sometimes what happens is, when the child is raised single-handedly by the mother, it is most likely a situation where you find the mother always talking negatively about men, negatively about the father, and this child grows up to think and understand that men are all bad and men are not to be trusted. Men are not to be treated with kindness because they are not good people. So you might have to look out for red flags when you talk with partners or with potential partners, people you are dating or courting, and asking them how successful the marriage of their parents were. You are looking for red flags. You are looking for red flags. So if your partner's parents had a history of a troubled or failed marriage, it could potentially raise red flags and indicate to you that there are things you have to be very careful about. There are issues you need to resolve. There are things you need to handle before you finally get into something serious with that person. Of course, there are people who grow in abusive homes or homes where marriages between their parents are not successful, they are abusive, and they are able to navigate those difficult situations to develop a balanced view about marriage and relationship. We have people like that. But you need to be quite sure of what is going on in the life of that person that you are dating or courting, because they may eventually become their mother. They may eventually become their father. A young man who grows in a home where he sees the father battering the mother, mistreating the mother, subjugating the mother, he might develop one or two ideas. One, to understand that is how women are supposed to be treated. And I remember my older brother telling me one day when we were growing up, we grew up in a compound, in a big African compound where, we had many families, and it was common to see battering here and there, quarreling here and there. And my older brother told me one day, when he will not get married to just one wife. Of course, I come from a place where polygamy is natural, and that he would not marry just one wife, and he would have a timetable, a schedule of beating them. And he would just tell them, get ready today, because today I'm going to beat you, whether you do wrong or you don't do wrong. And that is a dangerous mentality to carry into marriage. That is a very toxic upbringing, and a child in that atmosphere, or a young man who grows with that mentality, copying or seeing what the father is doing, molesting women, might think that molesting a woman is normal. There are men who don't take the opinion of their wives. There are men who don't listen to their wives. They take decisions single-handedly. They decide what they want to do, how they want to do it. They don't care what their wives say or what their wives suggest. And a young man growing under that atmosphere would think that that is how marriages are run. So you need to look out for red flags. When you ask these questions, you are looking for red flags. Red flags are those things that you cannot accept, things you must handle, resolve, get them improved or changed before you can take that relationship to a reasonable level. And point number 4, why it's important to talk to the person you are dating or courting, asking them how successful the marriage is, or the marriage of their parents was or is to be able to understand communication patterns. You know, the way your partner talks about their parents' marriage can also reveal important insights into their own values, beliefs, and communication patterns. It can help you understand how they perceive relationships and what they might prioritize in their own romantic endeavors. You know, children grow up, like I said, seeing their parents doing things and managing conflicts, and they see them communicate, and understanding how their parents communicate may help you understand how the person you're dating or courting is going to communicating. And that's going to help you check for those things you have to expect in the relationship, because how their parents communicated will affect their own values and beliefs and communication patterns. And this sometimes or oftentimes we carry it unconsciously into our relationship. If people or somebody, a lady grows in a home where the mother is always shouting at the father, or the husband or the mother is always shouting at her father, and you know, it builds up that initial thought or idea about communication, you know, and it helps. It is very, very helpful if you can understand this pattern from the very beginning of your relationship. And the next thing which is important, why you have to ask your partner about how successful the marriage of their parent is in order to understand conflict resolution issues. You know, observing how your partner's parents handle conflicts and challenges within their marriage can offer clues about how your partner's conflict resolution skills, and how they might navigate difficulties in your own relationship. Of course, if they see their parents always sitting down in a calm manner to talk, to discuss, or stay in their bedroom to talk things out, it is normal to disagree. It is normal to argue. But how much of it do we tolerate? It is normal not to agree with a partner, but how do we disagree? So if they watch their parents resolve conflict in a healthy manner, not, you know, talking over each other, not fighting over issues, but reasonably sitting down to settle conflicts, that in a way influences their child to to understand that when handling conflicts, you don't necessarily need to become toxic or acidic or, you know, violent. You can reasonably sit down and talk things over. And it's okay not to agree with someone, but you don't have to become nasty when you don't agree. You don't have to become disrespectful when you don't agree. And they grow up with learning the right way to resolve conflicts in relationship. And also, asking this question, how their parents resolve conflict, is going to help you consider or think into the long-term compatibility, or check long-term compatibility. While it is not a guarantee of future success or failure, understanding the background of your partner's family and their parents' marriage can contribute to your overall assessment of long-term compatibility and shared values. And this is something you need to know. When you visit the home of someone you're dating or courting, be very sensitive. Be very, very sensitive. There might be quick fixes. There might be quick fixes before you just get there if they know you're coming. But just be sensitive to know what is in the atmosphere. Just be sensitive to understand what has just been covered before your arrival. You're not some investigative agent, but you need some vital information to help you understand the person you are thinking you might spend the rest of your life with, and you don't want to settle down with just any person. And it's also very important to get information, not just from the person you are courting or dating. Use other means to do your investigation. And that is why it's important not to get married to a total stranger. Don't marry somebody you don't know their parents, or you don't know their anything about their family. You don't know their upbringing. You don't know the dynamics of their family. It's important to probe into getting vital information of how things happen. Because things happen in their family, because it is very likely that they are going to repeat this pattern. They are going to repeat the very life of their parents, the very life of their mother or father when they get into relationship with you. Oftentimes, boys will want to act like their fathers and girls will want to act like their mothers. Though there could be so much to this dynamic, but we would always see the ladies being their mother, and often see the ladies being their mother and the guys being their fathers. So when you marry a lady, you are marrying their mother. And you need to think about this. And the last thing you might want to consider is, or reason why you need to ask this question of how successful the marriage of the one you're courting or dating is to look for areas of future personal growth. Yes, you are not looking for any perfect human being, because you are not perfect. That is why when you ask some of these questions, it's not for you to back out of that relationship. It's for you to identify red flags. It's for you to identify areas of strength. It's for you to identify areas of challenges, so as to consider or identify the areas of growth which are necessary in your life, in the life of your future partner, before you say, yes, I do. Every one of us is a work in progress. And none of us is perfect. None of us has gotten it all. But getting as much information as possible when we want to engage into any long-term relationship with anyone is very, very crucial. And reflecting on the successes and failures of your partner's parents' marriage can also prompt valuable discussions about your own relationship expectations and goals and areas of personal growth as a couple. You might realize, okay, I love this person. I really like this person. I appreciate this person. But these are issues I must handle. These are issues we must handle together as a team. These are areas of improvement we must work on. These are challenges we must overcome. Otherwise, the failures or the conflict in their parents' marriage or in my parents' marriage might replicate in our own marriage. Experience has shown that children coming from homes which have, healthy relationships between parents may most likely make good marriage materials. Of course, we have exceptions where children can come from good homes and they learn from social media, from bad friends, and have influences from here and there, and that destroys them. And we equally have cases where people may come from very bad homes where you have toxic relationships, and they end up developing good philosophies, and they end up being able to develop themselves, develop values on their own, develop good attitudes on their own, and be able to chart a way into having great relationships. So you don't just conclude, When you have this information, whether if they are negative, you don't just conclude. If they are positive, you don't just conclude. You have to dig deeper. That's why you have to stay with me throughout this series. 30 important questions singles must ask while dating or courting. You might want to look out for my other videos, the previous ones that discusses the first eight questions. The first 8 questions. You might want to look up to that, and I'm going to attach a link even to my YouTube channel here. And I encourage you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe, follow, like, comment, recommend it to your friends, and do not forget to join us in our first batch of singles training coming up February and March. And when you register, I'm going to give you details of the training. So I'm going to attach a link to this video which you can use to register for that training, or you can just get to me by WhatsApp. See you tomorrow for the next episode. Shalom.